Frank, do you feel like this has been a wasted season for Caleb Williams? Have the Bears actively just wasted one of the very precious years on a rookie contract for Caleb Williams?
This is going to sound like a Matt Eberflus coward answer, but I promise it'll make sense at the end. I'm not going to ramble. I'm going to get right to the point. The answer is yes and no. The reason why it's a yes is because any quarterback at the helm, this roster should be a playoff roster. Both sides of the ball, there are not very many holes. Offensive line, pending, obviously. But regardless, this should be a team contending for playoff contention. We shouldn't already be looking at next year's draft status. This is a coaching thing. So in that aspect, you have wasted a precious year on a quarterback's rookie record who is going to get the largest contract in Bears history after 3 or 4 years. Let's just call it what it is. The guy is going to get fucking paid. Whatever quarterback's getting paid, then he's getting the Jordan Love contract, but we'll have earned it. But the reason why it's a no as well is because I do not think the year has been wasted in terms of his development. Would it have been if Waldron was here for all 17? You could probably make the case for it. But the one thing that I remain consistent on, I know that there are some guys that need to sit for a year, for a couple of games. We saw it with Anthony Richardson. We saw it with Bryce Young. We saw it for 17 years with Jordan Love. Some guys just need to sit, and that's okay. Caleb wasn't one of them. What he needed were these live rounds. He needed live action to see it, to feel it, to get adapted to the game. He was already advanced to a point where sitting and learning would have done him literally nothing. He would have been a kid who was supposed to be in the highest of private schools, being in a public school in CPS, and he would have been bored. That's what would have happened. He was too advanced for that. So to me, live rounds is what mattered this year. Now we're combining it with competent play calling and actually him getting, affirmation that he can succeed in this league. So to that standpoint, no. But again, with a better coach, this is. Look at what Harbaugh is doing with less talent. The quarterback is probably a little bit better, a little more established, if you will. But the rest of that roster, I don't think checks out to what the Bears have. And if he's here, we may have only lost one game thus far. That's how good talent-wise this roster is, in my opinion. So a little bit of a convoluted answer, but I'm trying to distinguish between the two. How do you feel about the whole thing?
Yeah, I don't think there's not any argument that it's been wasted at all. Obviously, I would have loved to have everything. Look, I would have loved to have been wrong about Matt Eberflus and right, I guess, at the time about Shane Waldron and that, how excited we were that he was going to be the offensive coordinator. Like you said, we didn't know how he talked to the media. We didn't know how he talked to his locker room. We only saw, snippets afterwards about what it could potentially look like. And unfortunately, those things were a lot more than just red flags. They were big, giant red banners that are hung in the UC rafters. We unfortunately were right about Matt Eberflus, and they have to, restart the cycle. What I will say, though, is any doubts that you had about Caleb Williams being able to adapt it's out the window.
Oh, yeah.
This dude has had an offensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator for 2 weeks, and he's played infinitely better. This dude, the way he carries himself, the way he handles himself, the way he plays, I have zero pause that he is going to be able to adapt to whatever offensive system is implemented, regardless of who is the head coach hired as, if they are the play caller or if they are defensive head coach that hires another offensive play caller. Maybe they keep Thomas Brown around. I have zero concerns because this dude is he's a football player. He knows how to play the position. He is a special talent that I think will be completely fine. The stark contrast, I think, between Matt Eberflus and the way that he just stands up there after losses, and it's just the same thing over and over and over. We got to get better. We got to do this. We got to adjust. I got to watch the film versus how Caleb talks. And we talked about it last week. The detail he gives, the lightness that he brings to it, where, it was kind of funny. It's such a small thing, but he got caught up when talking about his initial statement, and he did something that I feel like a lot of people do, where they're just and then you reset and what you're saying. It's very human, and I feel like Caleb Williams is that. He's a very I think a very likable personality, honestly. It kind of reminded me of the days of like Robot Mitch, where he would give those answers while wearing like the fucking Christmas sweater with the lights, and he was just very, I have to thank my teammates. They did a good job. I have to play better. Like it just he's very personable. And he's someone I feel like you just have to feel ultra confidence in being able to build around this guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, we expected playoffs. So I guess if you're looking at it from that perspective, yeah, it's a wasted season. They should be in the playoffs with better, competent coaching, like you were saying, if they had hired Jim Harbaugh. But ultimately, they didn't. We are where we're at. And even with all that being said, I don't think this is a wasted season. It's only going to get better from here. It's only going to get it's trending upwards.
Totally agree. I mean, listen, Jack. Caleb is. I felt like it was going to come out much better than that. We have brighter days ahead because we don't need, again, like if Kyle Shanahan gets fired and we hire him the next day, that's great. I mean, that's like, potential multiple Super
As a
Bowls.
49ers fan, as a lifelong 49ers fan, it's time to get rid of Kyle Shanahan. You
agree.
Can't win with Brandon Allen. Come on.
Yeah, ridiculous.
What are we doing?
But to your point, not only the adaptability, just all we need is competency. We don't need a guy that like makes everyone better. And like, I mean, the debate that some people have about the Niners or Brock Purdy specifically, is he really a good quarterback or is it Kyle Shanahan's play calling and play design? We don't need that. We just, that's what Thomas Brown is already competent. Again, he has the chance to like be better than that. But even if he just to stay where what he's done the last couple of weeks, that's what's needed here. We don't need an absolute offensive guru, although Ben Johnson, please come. But you get what I'm saying? Like that would only be like icing on the cake. We're seeing this guy just with competence around him succeed. That's it. That's all we need, and this kid is going to fucking shine. And this team will shine. And the offense will shine. And I'll shine his nuts.
Yeah. Shine his nuts, and he'll come more than one way. If you catch 100%. My drift.